welcome to the podcast, second one of 2024 actually, of Women Who Make It Happen, Journeys to Success with Mariana. Obviously today we're just going to run over a few particular subjects. It'd be good to do an introduction from both of our sides and then also just run over more around your journey, kind of how you entered the blockchain and regulatory space and your way from start to where you are now, which also kind of encompasses, with over 9 years of experience, what are some of your key highlights or milestones that you're particularly proud of. But I think in reflection of that as well, it'd also be good to really understand the challenges that came with that to get you to where you are today. And then obviously you are a member of the board of directors and also the co-chair of the Social Impact and Sustainability Working Group. ESG is a massive topic at the moment across the industry, so it's quite keen, and I think loads of people will be really quite interested to understand how you advocate for the positive contributions, particularly from a blockchain perspective, from technology to society, and how that kind of impacts the environment. A little bit more details around the BC10 Plus initiative. So it's a role in the supporting of blockchain solutions aligned with the agenda. And then as a director at Validvent, how do you navigate the intersection of AI and blockchain, which I think is something everyone's kind of focusing on at the moment, how they can integrate it more into their work and what that looks like, and any insights that you're able to share. And then from the members of various boards that you're involved in, how can you influence a role? What advice do you have for women aspiring to build a successful career in the Web3 industry? And then kind of any words of encouragement that you'd look to give your younger self or kind of other females in this industry to say, hey, look, this is what you can do, this is how I done it, this is what comes hand in hand with it. So I'll kick us off. So I'm Anna, I work for Interquest, I'm based in Amsterdam. I lead on our risk regulation and compliance function, which has more been incorporated into the technology side of crypto, fintech and digital assets, just due to more of a digitalization of the financial service industry. Over to you.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. Didn't you already cover everything that I could say about myself? Well, I'm Mariana de la Roche. I'm originally from Colombia, but I've been living in Germany for over 7 years, so I consider myself a Berliner at this point. I'm a lawyer by training. I had post-degree studies in human rights and humanitarian law, and I was working for the development sector quite for a long time before entering the blockchain space. And I entered in 2018 the blockchain space, mostly because I was really interested in see how technology could make organizations in the development sector more efficient and effective. So I was really interested on the part of social impact coming from new technologies. And I stepped upon blockchain during my research, and I got really interested on the concepts that was coming out of the DLT space, in particular decentralization and empowering of people, right? So all of this is how I started there. I then study an executive master on public administration, so it was really good because I couldn't integrate more the different parts of what I was doing before, like the law component, the management of projects, and then actually more the business administrative part. And yeah, that's who I am. I've been in the DLT space for over 5 years already, running on the 6th. So at that point, it's quite a lot of time in the industry. So yeah, it has been a really interesting part. So happy to share more. I didn't mention what I work for. Yeah, I have different hats. You cover them, almost all of them. I'm the director of the Validvent, which is a consultancy in Austria. But we work globally. So basically we do from crypto taxation to actually 360 strategy for startups. So we cover a variety of topics, with the aim of actually push forward the adoption of new technologies. I'm also on the board of INATBA, where I also lead the Social Impact and Sustainability Working Group. I've been doing that for the past 3 years. I'm also part of the expert panel of the EU BOF, where I contribute with different knowledge, so to put it like that, in the different reports that they prepare for the Commission. And I'm also part of the board of directors of TBT, which is a legal think tank in Luxembourg. So
I suppose being in DLT for about 6 years, you're pretty much seen as a veteran at that point, because it's kind of from when it first came out, and it's evolutionized so much since then, the actual application of technology, but also the usages of it. And artificial intelligence and blockchain is something which people still don't really understand how to use or the benefits of it. But also what's quite interesting is where you're part of that sort of sustainability side of it, people are unsure how friendly it is across the ESG space. So is that something you're able to elaborate on more, is how you envision the technology fitting into the sustainability and kind of the economical situations and the kind of impacts it proposes?
I mean, you touched two different topics, but like they connect. So I mean, when it comes to like AI and blockchain, I think that one of the things that we have been advocating the most is that you need to stop, or like we need to stop like looking at technology in isolation and like one framework for each of them, right? One of that's actually like the call to action that we were like how we started the European Blockchain Manifesto, which is the one that we launched with DG Grow in an event organized by DG Grow in Brussels last year in November. And the manifesto actually starts with blockchain is actually the underlying layer that we need to build for like different technologies, whether it's AI, robotics, virtual reality, and all of those, because of the trust layer that it builds and it comes with blockchain, right? So we see the integration of the technology in different points, and there is a lot of benefits to see this in a holistic manner, right? So one of the easy examples that I always put, I was on a webinar yesterday exactly about this topic. It was like you have, in order to make AI work, you need to have a lot of data that is fitting into the algorithms, right? But it's really important to know which data you put in there. Like the quality of the data, or like these are the prompts, will determine actually the outcome that is coming out of it, right? If you have fake news, fake information, like garbage data, well, you will get garbage at the end, right? Like there's no point in which you get like good outcomes if there is garbage coming in. But if you actually like incorporate like blockchain infrastructure where you have like traceability, like data provenance, for example, you can track how the data was collected, how the data was processed, how everything that happened with the data, then this is the data that comes into the algorithms, you might probably have like a better outcome. And this is really interesting. There are like already projects working on this from the blockchain perspective. You have Demia, where they have data collection, and this is actually connected to sustainability, right? Because they collect data about GHG emissions.
It's like the primary and secondary data flows of it as well, isn't it? Kind of how they're sort of used and kind of filtered out.
It just really depends of the use cases, right? But like in general, yes, like that's how you just like use big data to fit the algorithm. The algorithm will give you like an outcome based on the data and what you train the algorithm to do, right? That's the simple way. It's way more complex than that. And again, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a technical person. So if you have like technical questions,
it's putting it into a tiny little framework again. It's like a blinker approach.
And I think that it's just like more. I think it's different, right? Like I can see it from like a pragmatic perspective, understanding from my way of expertise where I see how it works. And like actually like examples is the best way to actually like share this information. That's what I was talking about Demia, which if you let me finish the example, I think that is like clear, because basically what they do is that they have data collection processes that are coming like from sensor or from manual. And when you have like data collected by humans, you just like running the issues of human mistake or like any alteration or corruption of the data, So you cannot trust the data that is collected by a human in the same way that you have the data collected like directly from the sensor. And they created a system where like each data point has like has trust points. So when the auditor sees this, they can see how much trust they can put in every single piece of information that they're seeing. Now imagine if you have that system also incorporated to train an algorithm, right? Like then you will see how much trust there is in the data that was fitting in the algorithm, so you know how trustworthy is the outcome that is coming out of there. And this can help you like solve like black boxes. This can help you to solve like unintended biases, especially if you have centralized places where you collect information from many different places. And also like you have like data traceability, right? So many benefits of incorporating these two technologies. But also if you look at the blockchain perspective, If you have AI, just because of the way that AI can analyze like big portions of data, it can maybe help us to identify it faster when we have like suspicious transactions that can be connected to money laundering or financial of terrorism in a faster manner. This is already done. This is already happening. There's a couple of companies already like doing it for blockchain analytics. So this is great. So that when it comes to AI and blockchain, like the integration is just natural. I think that one of the most interesting things was the AI Act. When we look at it, we have been working on a report for blockchain and AI, like pain points and integrations for over a year. And when we saw the AI Act, it was really interesting because the challenges that we saw and the points where we thought blockchain had a value for contributing to mitigate risk coming by AI was the same areas that the AI Act actually like was like presenting. Like we see risk here, and we were like, we already identified those, but we are actually like going forward and saying like blockchain can actually solve some of these in this way. And this is coming from a AI task force that I launched a couple of weeks ago with INATBA. So people can join if they're INATBA members. They can join and contribute to what we are going to be doing during the whole year with the AI blockchain task force, which is not only the report, but actually policy recommendations on how to mitigate some of the issues that were highlighted by the AI Act.
Amazing. I suppose from looking at that from a multitude of different hats that you wear, how do you kind of balance that out? And what's the core focus of each different one? I know that they all have a general consensus, but they must all look at, I suppose it's like going back to your framework analogy, they must all look at certain aspects of it in an alternative way.
I mean, yeah, but like, again, like I don't like to look at the things in silos. If I do it like that in different hats and I don't integrate them, then I'm again like looking at it in silos, and that's not how I work, not how I approach things, not even in my personal life. Like, I mean, like I'm a whole, I'm a whole person, like I cannot break myself into different pieces. So what I try to do is just like actually like see how with my daily job, which is in Validvent, we can integrate different actions as well that are going to push forward the industry. Like one of the great things of working with Validvent is that we are like purpose driven. So we are a consultancy office, yes, but we are really picky with the projects that we select. Like we don't want to work with any kind of project because at the end, like time is really limited and we want to invest in the best way and those that we see potential. So we work with like those and where we see that we are going to generate impact. And this part of impact is like really important because it's what I've been driving within INATBA as well, is what I drive with all the other associations that I interact. It's just how we scale in a way that actually we generate like positive impact in society, but also we are like keeping the users in a safety environment, right? So this comes with like absolutely everything that I stand for. Like as I mentioned, I was working before in human rights, and for me it's like I need to have like this impact coming into society, like see how we use technologies for like a greater good, right? Like technology is just a tool at the end, it just comes to us how we use it. And I just like feel that that's the role that I play with like every different thing that I do is just part of a whole thing that I want to do that is actually pushing technology in that direction.
No, I really like that. And I think it's looking at it from, okay, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, but what does it generate? What's the end goal? What are we trying to achieve? And I think some people do it where they just kind of run at things and they don't really understand where it's going or what it's going to achieve or the good that it can do, and just kind of use it just because it's a loudness in the market at the moment.
I mean, you also need that people, right? Like you need the people because they push adoption and like everything that comes with speculation. Like when people ask me, so like I really can care less. Like I don't care. Like I don't want to be part of that discussions. I don't want to engage in that discussion. I invest on my own. That's my thing. And when people ask me about how you invest, I'm just like, I just invest in projects that I really believe. like as any other people. Like I'm not just like chasing what is the net hot thing. Like right. Like I don't behave like that on my personal life. Like I wouldn't do it also like on the professional, but you still need like those people like to drive adoption sometimes. Like you never know, like they do them. Like I really don't care. I just care about actually like the projects that are generating the impact, and this is the part where I really care more than the crypto. It's like actually the blockchain space, and how we create solutions that are more safe, how we create solutions that actually like empower people. Like I'm really passionate about DeFi, but more that because of like this like profit generation is just like more like because I really see the potential of like bringing into the financial system or like providing financial tools to people that has been like let out of the traditional financial market because of many different reasons, because they don't have an ID, because they don't have the collaterals to access loans, because there is not the infrastructure and they live in remote areas, like all of these kind of like different things that we can tackle. And I just mentioned ID, but like all the potential of like digital identities, for example. I love the project that is being implemented by the United Nations as a pilot when it comes to identities, and this is the United Nations Pension Staff Fund that are already implementing this. So you see how it works and it's integrated. So when you think about actually like that solution that now is within the UN applied to refugees, for example, or like migrants, like this like the impact is really amazing, right? So this is the part that I care. This is the part that I want to push forward.
Yeah, no, and I really get that. And I suppose just taking a snippet of that around the actual purpose-driven side of it, but also kind of flipping us back 6+ years ago, I suppose, what was it that kind of piqued an interest to get into that space, but ultimately kind of where you've now gone to chairing communities and being a part of communities and quite a force in that sort of area. My question is how you kind of got to that, and how you got access to chair some of those areas and kind of be on those boards, and how that evolved.
Yep. Well, I think I mentioned it briefly before. Like I started in the industry because I was really I worked for the development sector a couple of years right after I finished my studies. And one of the things that like actually like shocked me is to see, one, how resources were going to mostly operations of the organization rather than to the end user. And the second one is like how ineffective some of the projects were because of bureaucracy. It was like so slow. You are always working with like the agenda of like other organizations that are the ones that are following your organization. So I wanted to help, but it was impossible to actually help. And I work a lot like on like training process for like prosecutors and judges in transitional and restorative justice back in the day. So I actually like got in contact a lot with like the system to understand where the needs were when it comes to education. So I was already like working on like how to talk to regulators for different topics, right? I was part of the transitional process with the paramilitaries in Colombia. I work as a researcher with one of the courts. But like all of this just showcased me that like it was really difficult to generate impact and to make change. And then I started to just like consider like how to do it faster, how to do it better. And then like technology is like the first thing that pops into your mind, right? Like technology is what has revolutionized always societies from A to Z, right? So this is how I started to just like look into technology and see like actually how you can use technology for pushing forward these projects, right? And that's how I just started to just like read about them. Like the white papers and everything. I think that one of the first projects that I saw was one that was actually like trying to track raw materials coming from like problematic areas to actually like see if there was any kind of like human rights violations involved. And that like it was just like, you know, like a domino effect.
Spiral effect.
And then I saw an application in a foundation. They were looking for a social impact project manager that understood somehow the technology, but also knew how to implement projects in the development sector. So this was the entry point. I was like always checking for jobs. I saw this one, I applied. After like 3 rounds of like interviews and a test, I think that like on Sunday I received a big document with like, what do you think? Let's have a call tomorrow. And I was like, oh damn.
Yeah, this is how quickly they want to go.
And I just like I started working with them. I worked with them for 5 years, and then I just decided that I have like some fundamental disagreements, and I just decided to move forward as well. So now I'm with Validvent. As I mentioned, for me it's really important to have a purpose-driven team that really like is thinking on like the bigger picture of like how this technology can actually generate impact. And we have like different things, and it's like funny because you think of, okay, a consultancy, but she's talking about impact, but we have really cool projects, and you need to just like check out like from like different perspectives. Like regulation is key, right? But what has regulation to do with sustainability? Absolutely everything. Like if you don't have like regulatory clarity, you won't have like actually innovation happening. There's projects that like might become illegal later on, like if the regulation change, or like what is happening here, how we enter the market. Now, at least in Europe, we have like MiCAR, and there is a clear pathway of how it will work here, which will drive innovation. We have like already started to see how people, like companies from Asia and North America are coming and trying to get into the European market because of this. But also one of the biggest issues that I see for the blockchain industry is adoption. Like we have not been able to scale, but it's because like the topic is so complex, and like this has been like so much noise, and like sadly not so many scams, but the ones that happen are big enough to make a lot of noise and scare people around. And most of them, I think that there is a point where like people don't understand that the scam and the issue and what happened is human issue, not technology, was not the technology. And they cannot differentiate this, and all this misinformation just prevent adoption. But if you have clear regulatory frameworks, people will feel safe, and they will be able, or like will feel that they can actually try and test the technology in a more safe environment. And this drives adoption. So regulation, key part, like really,
I think
really
the regulation side of it though is something which is highlighted extensively now, because the regulator themselves, and I may be talking out of term here, aren't necessarily knowledgeable enough to really kind of set a clear regulated boundary for technology, when the boundaries of technology are fairly endless.
I'm gonna make an asterisk there, because like there is really great people. I hate generalization, so I try to avoid them. There is really great people in the commission, in the parliament, in the national authorities that are really, really knowledgeable. I think that like somehow the national authorities sometimes are more knowledgeable than like high level institutions, but because they have like more longer terms where they stay there, right? Like as long as you have like a lot of like changes where they come because people is moved to another units, or there is elections or something, you have new branch of people, then you need to start all over. Like we have elections coming on in May, there's going to be a lot of work to get them up to speed. I think that like it's not fair to us sometimes and say like, oh, they don't understand how it works, because honestly, like who understands how it works? And it changes like
there's no one to really be able to set it, because it does change, alter, and we haven't really got to the limit of where that stops, because
we will never do it. Like, it's technology, it just advanced way too fast. So what we need to do is create frameworks, and like the regulatory frameworks need to be open enough to allow the innovation to keep happening, but in a way that we actually protect consumers. So I think that like this is like where we need to find that balance, and the regulator need to, I mean, like I always put the example of the car. Like if I'm going to drive my car, or like any like whatever, I need to understand what are like the traffic signs to be able to behave in the city, right? The regulator is the one doing those signs, so he also need to understand how the car works in order to know what are the risks and where the signs are going to be needed. But he doesn't need to understand how the motor of the car works, right? Like we cannot expect that level of understanding. I don't have the level of understanding of my car. I know how to drive it. I know the traffic lights. I need to know how to change the wheel if something happens. Like, you know, like the levels of understanding are different. If I go to the mechanic because like something happened with my car, well, I do expect this guy to know absolutely everything that is happening there, because that's what I'm paying for. And he is actually in charge of my safety if there is an issue with my car, right? So this is actually, one day I will find a better example that is more sustainable. But
I really like that example. I think
this is a really easy way to understand, because the levels of understanding that you expect from the people are different. So the level of understanding that the regulator has, or like needs to has when it comes to the technology, it is not in depth of like everything, how it the nitty-gritty details, but actually understand where are the risks, where are the activities, where actually there is impact in the consumer, how actually like this limits market, I'm limited in innovation or not. And the only way to get that knowledge is talking to the industry. So for me, like, this is like why it's so important to have like this dialogue, and not thinking on the industry as the big platforms and players that have the money to pay lobby agents that go there, but actually talk to the startups, talk to the people like the SMEs that is actually like trying to just succeed in the European market. So I think DG Grow is one of the most advanced, also on like the people that is there. Like, they work on a lot with the SMEs, and you can see the willingness of them to actually understand and work with the industry. So what was my train of thought to come here? Validvent. So regulation, one of the things that we do really close, but also like we have like custody service, and we have like advisory services. So we actually like are generating solutions that we are putting in place directly that are safe, in order to drive like more adoption, right? Like, if people come and they start to play with like the tools and they understand how they work and they feel safe, this will drive adoption outside of the blockchain bubble, because right now we are still in a bubble, and we will scale only as big as our bubble. So we need to break that bubble.
Yeah, and I suppose just sticking on Validvent as well.
So what?
One day we'll be able to get out of that bubble. I'm waiting for that day to happen, but it's definitely getting a little bit more inclusive. And I've been to a few of these events myself. It's actually really mind-opening to see how many people are now part of a blockchain or Web3 event and kind of family, you could say, and how much interest it's generated from people. But also, like, anyone I speak to in that particular area has so much energy about it, because it's just so exciting, and they all use it in different ways that makes a purpose, and they can see the purpose of the technology, and they can see the benefits of the technology added to, I don't know, compliance, added to technology developers, added to risk, added to kind of generating more from a business. And I think that's always been quite interesting for me. And I suppose just from your perspective, kind of as a director at Validvent, how you navigate the kind of intersection of AI and blockchain. I don't know if you can share some insights into the capacity there, and kind of how it actually coincides together a little bit further.
I mean, I think that I mentioned it before.
Yeah, we've touched upon it, but it'd be good to kind of deep dive into it.
I mean, as I mentioned, like, I think that the best way to explain is with examples. Like, I can drive you to all the things that I have on that report, but yesterday I have 1 hour to present it, and I run short of time. So I'm just gonna pick one of the topics that I like the most, and then as an example, right? I think that at this point there is a lot of advocacy to be done, because we have seen a switch in the interest and a switch on the budget, if you want to put it like that, into AI. So it's moving from blockchain to AI. But I think that is funny that like people don't see this as an opportunity, but as a threat. Because what I see is just like, we are like moving to AI, but we need the underlying level, like the underlying infrastructure of trust to have AI. If we want an ethic AI, right? Like, there is like fundamental risk when it comes to AI, and it really comes to how we design, how we implement it. And I see blockchain as that like protection layer, right? So let's think it like this. There's really cool projects out there. Energy NIP, there is one urban chain. I saw one also like coming from the Netherlands that is like the best of words. Many different projects. Yeah. And basically what they're doing is that they're creating a system based on blockchain where people is producing data all the time. They produce data about, or want to share data about, let's use Energy NIP, about the energy, like the behavior that they have in their houses to make the house more energy sustainable. So for example, they complete a form of a questionnaire, and one of the questions is like, do you close your curtains in the night? And they're like, yes or no. And then they explain you, like, if you close your curtains, the heat stays in, you need like less energy produced, like they explain you everything. And this data is then used by the municipalities in the Netherlands to actually, because you are in the Netherlands, that's why I picked the example. They use and like the municipality use this information to understand how they will design policies to make those municipalities more energy resilient, or like do the energy transition, or do actions to turn houses into more like less energy. What is the name? Why I'm losing the name? Let's say that like they want to just like see. Thank you. So basically, these people is providing information that is later used by the municipality.
Yeah.
But why I'm providing my information there? Like, why I will just like give my data like this? Well, these people create a whole system based on blockchain where you receive incentive for providing your data. So if you complete this questionnaire, you receive like some vouchers in your wallet that you can use only in certain stores in the municipality, where you can buy hardware to make your house more sustainable. So you can buy like solar panels or like the light bulbs that like consume less energy. All of this in the municipality. So they created a system where the government collects the information that they need. The people that provides the information get paid and rewarded for the information that are given. At the same time, there are like incentivized local economies, because you can only use that in the local stores, not Amazon, your local stores, to make your house more sustainable. So it's a completely, really great circular system. And all of this is done by blockchain. So think about now, like if you actually implement a reward system like that for the information that we are provided to platforms. Because every time that you use Facebook, you use Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever name it has now with Elon Musk.
I was going to say, I feel like it's changed so much. I don't even know what it is
I don't
anymore.
care. Like any of these social media, they actually get the data, all the data that you're like producing about like your preference, your consumption, What do you get?
It's like social clicks, isn't it?
You get advertising of things that you want to buy. So all the AI that they are being using is for like e-commerce, which is completely profit oriented. They are targeting myself with the data that I'm producing, and I don't get anything rather than a maybe nice advertising of something that I don't need but want to buy. This is absurd,
all I
right?
get is a less and less bank account.
And no one reads the cookies. Sometimes like that, like even me that I'm completely aware of this, like I want to put like only essentials, and then there is like this shiny bottom, and then I click it by mistake because I'm doing things fast, and then it's like all, and then I accept all the cookies. And this is a disaster, like trying to clean the cookies afterwards. Like I just like need to re-clean the story like all the time, and then I lose my, anyway. What will happen like if you change the whole system of how they're like literally mining our data, but actually creating like a blockchain permission system where I control my data and I decide where I share, when I share it, with whom I share it, and what I get in return, right? Like this actually changed the whole approach that we have on how they are collecting our data to feed the algorithm that they are using for e-commerce. So I think that this is like kind of like the fundamental questions that like are really easy to understand how these two technologies can integrate and create a real impact in something that we have like every day. And it's easy to understand, right? Of course, there is like 100,000 different ways that we can discuss now. As I told you, like we will need like the whole podcast just for that. But I think that this is a really clear example. What wouldn't happen if I go to social media and then when they're collecting my data, I get rewards? Then like if I want to do it, go for it. I authorize, you get my data, I get a reward, and then I will buy whatever you are like targeting at me with like the reward that you just gave me for like mining my data, right? And if I don't want to share it, like I don't need to share it, but like I'm not the product, right? Like because this is what we turn out to be. Like if I'm not paying for the service and I'm getting things, I mean like that I'm being the one that is used here. Like I'm not a user, I'm the product of these people that is like profiting with my data. So I think that this is like a fundamental change that we can implement with blockchain, right? And it's easy if I give back the power of the data to the people.
Yeah, and I think that's also looping back to purpose-driven usages of the technology rather than profitable-driven usages of the technology, which people as soon as, and this is generalizing, so apologies, but people do see advances and then think, okay, how can we generate profit from it? And then you also, like, this isn't everyone, and, you know, that's why I said apologies for kind of consocializing it, but then the adoption can be looking at it from a profitability perspective, whereas if you flip it around to you guys and kind of how you're looking at it from a purpose-driven perspective, there's probably a lot more where you're able to shape it and mold it in that particular mindset.
Yeah, I mean, like doing profits is not bad. We all need to pay rent, right?
Yeah.
Like we create
we don't
profits
just
and
do
I
it for
can hire.
not-for-profit.
I mean, like, yeah, it's like I'm not a not-for-profit with Validvent, but if I create profit and I can grow my team and bring better people, and like great people with great ideas, and I can pay them and also like keep them motivated to do a great job, then I will do like double of what I do because I only have like limited time and limited capacities, but like I can grow, right? Like I think that is just like also like how we do like profit purpose oriented something. I don't know, like it's like change the mindset. It's just like not generating profit just for the sake of putting sorry for the word, like bullshit up on the market that people will like use but like waste their time, but actually how I create technologies that like it will do good in society. It will like make societies more equitable, it do societies more sustainable, but at the same time I create a sustainable business model for myself that would allow me to grow what I'm doing so I have like more impact, right? And that's, for example, what I like about DeFi. Like you have really great projects out there. Like my favorite is Ethics Hub. I don't know if you know them. I love them for many, many reasons. One of them because one of the co-founders is from Mexico and I'm Latin American. So I just like, I'm super happy always to see women succeeding, and also like when there are migrants as well. You should have it on this podcast because she's amazing and she's also super passionate about it. But actually, like the project, what they do is that they have a DeFi platform where they connect investors with farmers in isolated areas or farmers that will like that because of many reasons they didn't access the traditional financial system. They don't have collaterals, or if they have a piece of land, this piece of land is like far away, remote area, so the bank won't take it as a collateral because who is going to buy it? No one is interested. Or they take it as collateral, but they put like really big interest. So even if this farmer posts her working his whole life or like her whole life, they will never going to be able to repay. They will never make profit. They will never leave the poverty cycle. So what they're doing is that they're like providing investors with these farmers, like with a platform where they can actually exchange, right? So the investors can just like invest directly on these farmers. They get the resources that they need to grow their land, and then they repay. And like they actually like the non-repayment rate that they have so low, that is crazy. It's like unbelievable how good they do it. And they also build relationship with the farmers. They travel there, they talk to the people, they build like trust circles, and then they onboard them. So when the investor come, they know that there was like a trust layer there done by person-to-person contact with these farmers, and they already distribute like more than €1 million or like million US dollars. I don't remember the equivalent, but all of this is done via DeFi. So this is the kind of like they're generating profit, and when you see the numbers, it's like crazy, right? And they are not a non-profit; they are actually a company, and they're like generating impact. They're like they have tons of impact with what they're doing. So this is actually like a really nice use case when it comes to sustainability and actually sustainable business model, not just sustainability in terms of the impact that they're having in societies, but actually like in terms of people and the business that they have, and they're growing the team. So it's amazing to see that we have like these examples out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I suppose just touching across a couple of bits there as well around the influential side and the ability to kind of, as you know, migrants being able to go into that sort of space as well. Being quite an influential person yourself, what would, 100% with all of your knowledge, and like you've even inspired me on this podcast, to be honest with you, just around the types of analogies, the thought processes, the usages, kind of how you can look at it from social impacts and sustainability and the working groups that you're involved in. Like it is admirable, and to kind of people looking to move into that space, you are in an influential position. So I suppose what advice would you give for women aspiring to build a career within a Web3, a blockchain or a DLT space? Because ultimately there is a lot of people looking at it and thinking, I don't think I can do this, or it's highly male driven, or is this something I can be involved in? Am I knowledgeable enough? And these are the questions everyone asks themselves. So I suppose looking at it from that, how would you look at influencing people to move into that space? And that's even if you look at it from what would you have told yourself 6 years ago when you first got into it, or from what you've learned throughout those 6 years, what would you tell people looking to come into it?
That's a funny one, because I'm comfortable always answering like all type of questions, but when it comes to this, I kind of like feel responsible with anything that I will say afterwards.
We'll just say we'll just do a disclaimer here.
No, I think that it's okay. But I think that like it's just like be authentic. Like that will be like my best advice, because it is male-dominated industry still. There's gonna be situations where they're gonna interrupt you, they're gonna stop you, they're gonna just like claim ownership with your ideas or things like this, and I just if I have something to say, I will say it. And this comes with my personality, right? Like, and I think that like basically I am where I am, and like I get called to this podcast is because people know that I will always have like an honest answer, and I will say what I think, whether this is what I should be saying or not, right? So I think that this comes with authenticity as well, because like I have never been afraid to be myself. Like I'm like a red hair, I use piercings, I'm full of tattoos, and I'm a lawyer, right? Like, so this was also like quite a
breaking the trend.
Back then, when I was studying law in one of the most traditional universities in Colombia, I was just the same, right? And I was just like never scared, because I always think that like what matters is like who you are and like your brain, and not like really if you have a tattoo or you have like red hair or like a person, like that doesn't change what I will say, right? Like this is just the package.
It doesn't also have a reflection on your ability, your outlook. It means nothing.
Exactly. And I think that like when it comes to like new technologies and like new industries, this is something that we should like push forward, just like how the diversity of people also bring value to the industry, whether it's like because it's a woman, whether it's like LGBTQ plus population, or is a migrant, is coming from backgrounds that like is not a technical background, like I don't know, like all of this different diversity in the whole sense and holistic sense of diversity, not just like women, men, like just like brings value, because at the end we are designing technologies not for one part of the population, we are designing technologies for everyone. So as many people we have involved, more different areas we will have. And I think that like this is what I mean when like just be yourself and be authentic, because you are like all of those different things that you have, like, or you call it like has like lawyer, Colombian, a migrant in Germany, I don't know, dog person, a tattoo, whatever, you know, all of that make you who you are, and the value that you bring to the industry is because of who you are, not what you pretend to be. And if you have like that understanding, you create like security over yourself, and then you won't let anyone, whether it's a man or a woman, to step on your feet and like tell you that you don't have the right to speak, or interrupt you. Like I have been interrupted sometimes. I'm like, hey, let me finish. Like I'm not finished here. I have like things to say as well, you know. So I can't care less about like how people perceive me, and I think that this gives me like the good thing that like I am not afraid to speak up, right? Whether when I feel that I need to speak, I will speak. So that would be my advice. Like be yourself and don't let others to intimidate you, because they will always try to do it, and it's up to you how you feel with that, right? Like
I
people
think it's
will
being
only do to
comfortable
you
with being uncomfortable, because like you quite rightly said, people will just say like this, like take your ideas and take this, and it may be stepping outside your comfort zone and say no, that's my idea, and it's almost a sense of backing yourself.
I will put it in the other way around. It's like if they try to put you and like make you feel uncomfortable, then just make them feel uncomfortable as well, because that's the thing. Like the people
Reverse
need to
psychology.
like, no one wants to talk about like gender issues, no one wants to talk about certain things, but because they feel uncomfortable. Well, no one likes to be uncomfortable, so how about we make everyone to feel uncomfortable, so they change realities, so the reality stops being uncomfortable for those that has been all the time. So I think that is like, changing that perspective. I mean, like, what is the worst thing that can happen, honestly? Like, if you say what you think, what is the worst thing that can happen? That someone don't agree? Well, that will happen anyway, and you create dialogue. I mean, as long as you do it from a point of respect, you can say whatever you want to say, right? Like, you can have like variety of opinions, as long as you're respectful and you present your thoughts in a respectful way, where you are not insulting the other one. I don't see what is the worst thing that can happen.
A variety of opinion I always think is a benefit, because if you just have one opinion and everybody has the same opinion, you're never going to get anywhere. You'll just plateau and be fairly stagnant. Whereas if you have opinion, I don't know, someone who has tattoos, someone who comes from Colombia, someone who comes from America, someone who's an immigrant, someone who lives in the country and is a native, someone who's come from a technology background, someone who's come from a lawyer background. All of those encompass a whole different view of a workforce and the usability of any type of technology. And by having each and all of those different ideas, you'll soon start to just see it all go like this, because the collaborative part of it kind of conjoins together.
Totally.
And it's a benefit to use all of it.
Totally. And what I mean is that, like, what is the worst thing that can happen, right? Like that, I mean, if you, like, I think that like another thing that I will say is that you never stop learning. Like I really try to read as much as I can, but like there is content like popping out or like every day, like hundreds of them that I want to read. So just be selective. But there is a lot of like, and also there is already AI tools that like make summaries for you that you can use to just like read and see what was like the main things that they were discussing, right? But like keep learning, because if you are good, like the worst thing that can happen is that you just move from one place to another. And I have like done that myself, right? Like when I don't align with the values anymore, when I don't align with the principles, when I just like have like these like ceilings where like my boss or like the directors, like it just is not an environment where I want to be.
No.
Then if you don't move, the universe will move you. And that's how I see it. Like when I don't do it voluntarily, the universe just simply moves me. And I was just like, this is done. Like, we're gonna go to the next one. You have been complaining too much and not taking action. And honestly, it's like you can complain a lot, but if you don't take action about it, then why are you complaining? You're not doing anything to change it. So if you just like need to do something about it, right? Or the decision is going to be taken by you, and it's going to happen anyway. But I think that like it's really important that you are coherent with yourself and what you say and what you think. And I think that when you hear me talking about myself, it's like super aligned with how I work and how I approach work, because as I mentioned it before, I have different hats, but I'm just one person, right? It's just me.
Yeah, it's just multiple views and multiple ways of looking at it, which is a benefit because you keep learning, you're involved in different areas, you're learning different things from different people, which all circles back around to how you apply that to your own particular position, both from a professional but also a personal side as well. So that is something which can really resonate with probably quite a lot of people. And I suppose just kind of looking to wind this down a little bit, is there any sort of final words of encouragement or something you want to touch on before we finish?
I think that I already say everything that I need to say, but there is a lot of like ways to just like get in contact with the industry. There is tons of associations, there is tons of like groups that you can join, like volunteering. I mean, when I started with INATBA, I think that was one of your questions and I didn't answer. How did I arrive to the boards, right? I started like any other person. I was just like there contributing. I do a lot of voluntary work with like sometimes associations, and I just work really, really hard. And when they see how hard you work and how committed you are, you just start growing, because that's the natural part, right? Like no one is giving me anything for free. Like I'm there because I've been busting my ass, literally working hard for the industry. So I think that like that will be the best way to just start for those that are new, is just to engage with initiatives and then just like show how good you are and just work hard, right? Because nothing is free.
No, and I always say as well, hard work outbeats knowledge, because the harder the work, the more knowledge you get, whether anyone's kind of educated to kind of come kingdom come. If you're hardworking, you're really applying it, you're trying to learn more, you're trying to understand it further, hard work does get you a hell of a long way, but it does take that extra sort of application, extra time put in, more time out of your day, more reading out of your day to really get to where you want to be. It doesn't just happen.
I would put it differently though, but it goes in the same direction. Is that like you can build hard skills, which is what you mean, but you cannot build soft skills. I think that soft skills comes with the people. So when you have dedicated people, even if they don't really have the knowledge, as you mentioned, yet, they're gonna get there because they want to study, they are committed to the cause, they are committed to what they're doing, they are motivated, they want to learn, right? And this is like the people that I love to work with, like like Laura Kaitasi, Osa Dalborn, Max Ben, Erwin Bolova, like Imbar, Ellie Tomaso, all of them, the people that you always see with me, because we became really close friends. All the people that you always see with me is just like people that actually like goes also in this direction, right? That they work really, really hard. And also we don't care about background. Like I'm really close. Like I love Maha, for example. Like I see her as a mentor. Like she's really great.
She's amazing.
And she does so much, and also she put like so much heart in everything that she do.
As well.
I bet she was. There's like really great networks out there that you can reach out. Now I feel bad because I just mentioned some, but there's so many people that I can actually like mention now. But it will take me also like a day, right? But like what I mean is just like surrounding yourself with like people that is equally motivates you and that really believe in what they're doing also helps you to stay motivated and want to do more. So I think that would be like my last words.
Perfect. Well, look, thank you so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on part of this podcast, and it's very informative. I mean, I've just been sitting here in awe of just understanding exactly how it is that people look at it and understand it, and how you've kind of moved into it. And I think it's really key for people to see, you know, you do have to put in that extra bit of legwork to get where you need to be, but it is possible. No matter what walk of life, background, ethnicity, it's possible. And it's just emphasizing that and kind of being able to illustrate it as well. So no, thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, I guess that like if it's what you like to do, it won't feel like putting an extra mile, right? Like I sometimes
you just like it. It's like a hobby.
Yeah, I just like what I do, and I don't have like doing it a little bit longer in the afternoons, you know, like it's just
like, oh, is that the time?
Yeah, my dog sometimes is not happy about it, nor my boyfriend, but like I mean, like you just need to keep that balance as well. Like I'm trying better to don't just stay all the time on my computer, but like do exercise, go for a walk with the dog, like go dinner or something like this, because otherwise it's easy to just like
incorporate it into a broader day-to-day.
Yeah.
Well, look, as I say, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for inviting me.